Something is happening. Lindy won't look at me, and I can't look at myself. Words, once real as firewood or concrete, become a meringue of dust. Breakfast time. When I eat, I know that it's not a very pretty sight. It's the same every morning. Mom pulls up the kitchen chair she always sits in when she feeds me and places my bath towel-sized bib around my neck. Then she scoops oatmeal into an ancient green plastic Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles bowl, Donatello. She always uses this bowl. I think because she can hold it by the turtle's head up close to my face and spoon the mush into my mouth. Putting food in my mouth is only the first step to feeding me. I can't voluntarily swallow, so we have to wait for my swallowing reflex to kick in. Because of this, half the food oozes back out before any of it goes down. Mom has fed me practically every meal I've ever eaten, so she's an expert. She shovels a spoonful in, then leaves the spoon under my lower lip, resting it lightly on my chin until half of the food slides back out. Then she spoons it in again, repeating the procedure as many times as it takes until my body manages to swallow. Then I get the next spoonful. It takes a while to feed me. I cough and spit a lot too, spraying my meals, like that time with my dad. I know I must look terrible. I'm glad Allie left before I got up. This morning, Mom seems distracted. She lets more oatmeal than usual slide out of my mouth and down onto my bib. She keeps running her fingers gently across my chin, wiping away the drooled cereal. There's something in her expression, something in her eyes that tells me something is wrong. When I'm done eating, after Mom has gone to the bathroom and washed the sticky oatmeal off her hands, she comes back into the kitchen and calls for Cindy and Paul, who are both upstairs. "Yo," Paul calls back. Cindy doesn't answer. "Cindy," Mom calls again, louder. "What?" Cindy answers. Mom says, "I need you both down here for a second." Mom stands leaning against the wall between the kitchen and the family room. I happen to be looking at her. She looks pretty. Even though she's 45 years old, she looks good. Mom's real name is Linda, but my dad gave her the nickname Lindy back before they were even married. It's stuck with her ever since. Watching Mom standing there, I remember so many things about her. I remember every soft word she's ever whispered in my ear, every gentle, silly lullaby, each and every time I've come back after a seizure to find myself cradled in her arms. If I had to name a single reason why I've been as happy as I've been, I know that it would be my certainty of my mom's love for me. Love that's absolute, rock solid. Yet right now, at this moment, I think about Allie and how much I'd like to have a girlfriend. I even wonder what it would be like to love someone else more than I love my mom. I know that the secret to happiness is love. To be loved the way Mom has always loved me. And to love back the way I've loved her. Yet now, somehow, I think about a new meaning for love. Something even bigger. Cindy and Paul show up together, coming into the family room, pushing and teasing. "I need to tell you guys something," Mom says. She uses her best put on a happy face voice, so all of us know instantly that something must be wrong. "I need to discuss something with you guys," Mom says. "You said that," Paul counters, already on the defensive. Both Cindy and Paul look guilty. Not specific guilt, but more like, I wonder what she's found out about. Mom notices this and laughs. "You're not in trouble," she reassures them. "I just have to tell you something." By this time, I can feel the weight of what's coming. I can hear it in her tone. Mom's a naturally positive and cheerful person. When she sounds as overly positive as she's sounding now, it has to mean something is pretty bad. "What's going on?" Cindy asks anxiously, staring at Mom with the same suspicious feelings I have. "It's about your dad," Mom says. Paul instantly groans and asks, "Now what?" "I haven't even told you what it's about," Mom says defensively. Paul snaps back, "If it has to do with Dad, you don't have to." He slumps down on the big blue couch in the family room. Cindy sits next to him. Mom takes a breath, and she turns to Paul. You're mad at your dad, I know that, but you need to set that aside for a moment and just listen. The Alice Pons Show is going to do a program about your dad's newest project. Cindy interrupts. The thing about the schools? No, Mom says. What new project? Paul asks. Mom sighs, just a quick little sigh, but all three of us catch it. It's her signature giveaway that the punchline is next. Your dad's writing a new book. It's about Earl Dutroux. Oh no, Cindy snaps, jerking her knees up to her chest and burying her head. Who? Paul asks sarcastically. Who's Earl Dayglow? Cindy's voice comes out from her knees. Has Dad gone crazy? Mom says, your dad thinks it's an important story. He thinks... Cindy interrupts. Bull! He's not thinking at all. Jesus Christ! Paul yells, what's going on? Who's this Earl guy? Cindy looks up and hisses. He's that monster from Eastern Washington who murdered his kid. I placed the name immediately. The second Mom said it, and now the voiceovers of a dozen TV news stories flash back perfectly in my head. Earl Dutroux killed his brain-damaged 2-year-old son, Colin, a little over a year ago. He smothered the little boy and was convicted of second-degree murder. He received a 20-year sentence in Walla Walla State Penitentiary. Mom answers Paul, telling him about Earl. I don't get it, Paul says. Why is Dad into that? Mom says, I won't speak for your father. I'm not going to stand here and lie to you and say that I understand or agree with everything he does. I think your dad believes that families like ours, families with kids like Sean, are not very well understood. Your dad's work, his writing, and his projects are about trying to get people to think about what happens when a child like Sean comes along. Mom pauses for a second. Her face is sad, and suddenly she looks tired. I think about all the times that I've heard her on the phone talking with Dad, crying, criticizing, and arguing with him. Your father just wants you to know that he'd appreciate your cooperation for this project. Cindy snaps. Cooperation? She sounds mad. Mom adds, he wants you both to know that if you want to, you can join him on the program and talk about life with your brother. The people at the Alice Pons Show. Paul's burst of angry laughter interrupts Mom. Right, Alice Pons. I'd rather have ground glass pounded up my nose. Paul, Mom says, pushing down a very nervous laugh. Join him? Cindy asks angrily. Why? Mom pauses a moment before she speaks. I think your father believes that his work might help other families with kids like Sean. I believe that your dad feels that kids like Sean and their families need a lot more from society than volunteer stints with the Special Olympics. He knows that the problems that families like ours face are a lot more complex than they are presented on a feel-good made-for-TV movie. Your father, Paul interrupts again, my father is a hopeless jerk and I wouldn't help him do anything, least of all go on a freak show and talk about my brother. Paul pauses a moment, then he adds angrily, Alice Pons? Alice friggin' Pons? Paul's been mad at Dad for years, ever since he left us. Not all the time. They've tried to iron things out, but the peace has never lasted longer than a few months. Paul always finds something to get upset about and then refuses any contact with Dad. These days, they're not speaking at all. Mom says, it's completely up to you guys whether you want to go on Alice Pons. Your dad would never make you, and, of course, neither will I. When your dad talked to me about this, he mentioned that the Alice Pons producer wanted you guys on the show, but your dad didn't even ask me to ask you. He just wanted me to let you know that the invitation was there. If you want to go, you can. If you'd rather not, you shouldn't. Cindy asks quietly, you think Dad really cares about other people with kids like Sean? Mom answers right away, I know he does, sweetie. You know that I don't always agree with the things he does or the way he thinks. Sometimes I even get really pissed at him. But I know in my heart that your dad cares and that he's trying to do what he thinks is right. Cindy smiles. I know it's because Mom said pissed, and Mom never talks like that. Paul is still mad. Sure he cares, Paul said sarcastically, about himself. As I sit here listening, I realize that I agree with both Mom and Paul. I know Dad wants to help people, but I know that sometimes he's totally selfish too. If I could talk, however, I'd say one other thing to them. I'd remind them that Dad is really sharp when it comes to money and the writing business. I know it's vulgar and crude and crass to mention filthy lucre, but Dad does pay for our house, our food. In fact, all of our expenses. Mom works part-time, but actually I'm her full-time job. Taking care of me is expensive, and Dad pays for it all. He has to think about money. With Dad's fame from the Pulitzer and the controversial subject matter of Earl Detrow, Dad probably sees a gold mine, and he's probably right. I'm sure Detrow is a hero to a lot of people. His son had a terrible seizure condition and was retarded. Earl isn't an educated man like my dad. He worked at a gas station during the day and a pizza place at night. When he was charged with killing his son, he pled guilty. Talking from the steps of the courthouse as he was being led away, he said, "I did it. I killed him. How can I say not guilty? I love my son too much to watch him suffer anymore." Then he added that he killed his 2-year-old son to end my baby's pain. I'm pretty good at adding 2 plus 2 and coming up with 4. Dad's getting deeper and deeper into this whole ending pain stuff, which means that I'm in deeper and deeper trouble.